Alrighty. So, Christy, I hear we had some mail from viewers.
Yeah, absolutely. We got some really great questions, and we always do, and usually we email back to those, and so we'd love to encourage people to continue to write in, but some of these were juicy enough to, I think, really spend some time talking about, maybe more than one person with a keyboard could properly tackle. Right. So I'm glad that we're getting to take some time to really dive into these kinds of things.
Oh, yeah, and I am so happy that we are actually finally starting to get some, you know, we do get the occasional email, but this week we actually got enough to be able to go, hey, I think there's something here. We can do an entire episode around these.
Yeah, some beautiful stuff. So we did, we did excerpt a few of these. So just for everybody's privacy and for the ease of the viewer. So I want to be clear that this isn't, us reading off verbatim, but I'd love to go ahead and share that first one with y'all if I could.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This struck to my heart because I remember being a lonely, horny college student.
Oh,
so what we got here was, hi there. I'm a male, and I find myself in an almost constant situation where my contact with women is limited. I'm still in school, and my program is 95% male. I studied counseling, where it was like the exact opposite program. It was kind of nice. It was kind of nice. My program also means that I spend long hours with little time to go out. I find that I do find an emptiness in having a lack of partner for so long. I must admit that technically I am still a virgin. Those quotes are in the original, to be clear.
Okay.
I have resorted to porn for a long while now for some type of release. But lately, I find that I do long for contact with another human being. I have little interest in flings and would like to have a relationship. However, at this point, it has been so long since I've had a romantic prospect that I've pretty much lost all hope. And nope, no luck with Tinder, OkCupid, etc. I'm told I'm fairly attractive. I have many friends that I get along with easily. I just never seem to be able in a position that a short or a long-term relationship seems feasible. But like I said, I do find a certain emptiness with this lack and find I'm unable to fill it through other means, porn, etc. I find this is affecting my confidence and drive in life in general lately, despite having some professional and personal success. Any response is appreciated.
Well, I feel wholly underqualified to answer this one, seeing as I am not a male in college lacking for sex life.
Well, I don't think any of us are, but we can...
Yeah, what was that college sex life like? Was it...
For me?
All unicorns and rainbows and...
It was non-existent.
Non-existent, yeah. Yeah, same. We all have these pictures of like Van Wilder and like these crazy sex orgies.
Yeah, it's
and,
so not like that.
There's just these like drunken Tara Reeds throwing themselves on us all the time. At least that's the way the movies make it seem. But I relate. I mean, college was a time for me where the workload was incredible, where it was just exhausting, and it was really hard to have that connection, to have that opportunity to feel close to people.
Yeah, I dated one classmate once, and that was it.
Yeah. So I think I would say first and foremost that that's a very human experience. It's a very natural one, and I know that at this stage of life, that 3-4 years, maybe going back to high school, maybe going back to undergraduate or before now, and it can seem like this is just going to be what adulthood is like. And in some ways, they're not wrong. Sarah, you pointed out that a lot of finding a relationship or sexual opportunities is about presence and patience.
Yeah.
I think that's an incredible point.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be there. You have to be available in a situation where you can have a relationship, right? And even when you are, even if you are, you know, a dazzling, sparkling personality with great looks or whatever, it's going to take time.
I'd say, yeah, especially given the age you usually are when you're in college, even though it can be a wider range, age range, it still is not easy. And it's not the best time of most people's lives, to be completely honest.
You're full of stress all the time.
Yeah, and stress really kills the libido, especially for women. So if you're looking for women out there, then yeah.
Yeah, and just not being around women, you know, and if that's who you're looking for, you know,
Right.
it makes sense that that's going to be tricky. So, you know, you mentioned you kind of wrote off dating apps and things like that. And I would say for a lot of folks, dating apps are just never going to be a good fit. I don't think that everybody needs to date that way. But we do see more and more that it's becoming the norm. Dating apps have largely surpassed, you know, clubs, school, work, worship community, these different ways that people traditionally have been meeting. So I would say that maybe a dating app isn't right for you, but just because you're not getting a lot of great responses, especially as a guy, and we've talked about this a little bit before, the fact that guys tend to be doing a lot more of the legwork on dating apps in the sense that they're going to have to, you know, strike up a conversation with 100 different folks before they really start to find that connection. And so it is tricky. It is draining. And maybe you're not in a place in your life right now where you feel like you're able to take that on. And I think that's very human. But I would say keep at it. Know that there's time left. You know, you don't have to be married before graduation. I went to A&M, a very large conservative university here in Texas, where, I mean, you could tell by like junior, senior year, people were starting to get panicky. That if you didn't get engaged by the time you graduated, life was over for you. You could just go ahead and hang up your sexuality. You were going to just go ahead, get a cat, get a ferret, give up.
Old spinster.
Yeah, die alone. You know, that's pretty much the narrative.
No, I mean, that is a really good point that you're making. When you're in college, you're basically riding on the narrative that you've been given your whole life, that this is the time for creating your life. You know, you're doing what you are, quote unquote, supposed to be doing to create the life that you want. And so if part of that life is, you know, human connection with someone that you feel romantic about, and you can't get that, I can imagine that feels really, you know, disheartening.
Yeah, and I kind of want to respond to another one of those sort of myths that, you know, seems sort of implicit in all of this, which is this idea that you're technically still a virgin. And I can't imagine what that means for you personally. But I would also say that there is nothing magical about going from having not had sex to having had sex. I don't want to make it sound as if nobody's first time was good. There are plenty of people with beautiful stories, and it can be special, but
I haven't really heard them.
Yeah, it's for a lot of folks not, and that's totally okay too. But it doesn't need to seem as if because it hasn't happened that it's never going to happen. And
it doesn't need to define you as a person.
It can feel like an identity. I mean, in our culture, really construction is one. It tells you there's something wrong with you, that if you've made it this far without ever having sex, that you never will.
As a male.
Particularly
especially
as a male.
For men, and especially for younger men.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, for females, it's kind of the opposite. You are a slut, you're a whore, you're, you know, dirty, chewed up gum, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. I mean, those stories are an episode unto itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, I think another important part is we're talking about loneliness, and it makes sense that you say you have good friends, you say that you're having some success scholastically, professionally, these different things. But I want to point out that getting away from loneliness, that finding love, finding human connection in these different ways is more than just a friendship that also includes orgasms, right?
Yeah.
That human connection can include so many different things. And so whether it's joining us on a Thursday night and jumping into the chat room, thank y'all for being there, or whether it's joining a club, I mean, whatever it might look like for you, there is so much more to the human experience, so much more to not feeling lonely than, you know, having some cute young thing on your arm to go out with on Friday nights.
I mean, not that that's bad.
Not that there's anything wrong with it.
Right. No, I mean, if you're in a college town, which presumably you are if you're, you know, in college, then, you know, there's going to be clubs where you can meet people and hang out with them, other than your own little circle of friends that are in your own graduate program or whatever. And, you know, there's chances of making deep connections with those people. So I would definitely say put yourself out there. Okay, it sounds so cliche when I say it, but really, if you don't put yourself out there, you're going to stay in the same bubble that you're currently in, and you're not having good luck with that bubble as far as
your email would suggest.
Yeah.
So I think we're all kind of saying, stick with it, stay patient, don't feel like there is a finish line or a rush to get there. And just know that it's hard for most everybody, and maybe right now it is particularly hard for you. Maybe you're seeing your friends just with tons of opportunities, but don't give up. Don't write off your Tinders and your OkCupids and your Sweet Peas and your on and on and on and on. You know, it may be exhausting to, you know, every 12 hours you're on the app, you're swiping, you're going. But you know, slow it down. Take some time with it and trust that it's going to happen for you.
Yeah, there's 7 billion people on the planet. Somebody will like you.
And I would also just add that there's nothing wrong with a fling. There's nothing wrong with finding a temporary outlet for that energy and those feelings.
Yeah. I believe we call those fuck buddies.
Well, I mean, that could be it, but I think Megan also brings up a good point that so often we have this idealized version of romance in our minds that we let the great and the perfect and the majestic get in the way of the good. And so often, I mean, every great relationship I've ever been in has started out as good. You know, even the ones where that first date had like sort of that sizzle and you could tell that there was something happening, even that's a crapshoot. You know, even that might lead to a terrible third date.
True fact.
And plenty of mediocre first dates turn into really meaningful things. So, you know, I would say, again, put yourself out there. Sorry. I'm sorry. Your mom's probably been saying it.
We sound like parents. I am a parent, whatever.
But yeah, keep with it and just enjoy something for what it is. Not every first date needs to be the love of a lifetime.
Yeah, I would agree.
Take yourself out on some dates. That's something that I do when I'm single. Treat myself like I'm a partner and just take myself out. Do what I would do with a partner if I had one. And just treat myself. And it feels really good. It feels like you're building yourself up. And when you do that, you're also like affirming yourself and affirming the very qualities that someone who would fall for you are going to see. So, you know, bonus.
Nice. Yeah. Well, thank you.